At the family party, I found my daughter's head shaved. My sister laughed. "It's just a joke." I slapped her and walked out. Behind me, Mom cursed, "Bastard child!" But the next morning, Mom came begging, "Please, give your sister a way to live." My name is Rebecca. I am 35 years old, and I am an extremely protective single mother to my 8-year-old daughter, Emma. Every year, we attend a large family gathering at my mother's house. This time, halfway through dinner, I realized that Emma had been gone for too long. I found her sobbing in the upstairs bathroom, her beautiful long blonde hair completely shaved off. My sister Brianna was standing there filming it on her phone, laughing loudly. "It's just a joke," she said mockingly. At that moment, something inside me completely broke. If you've ever had to stand up to your family for the sake of your child, leave a comment below. Be sure to subscribe to find out how I made sure my sister would never hurt my daughter again. Being Emma's single mother has been my greatest joy and hardest challenge over the past 5 years since my divorce from Jason. Our separation was not easy, but we have built a stable, loving home environment despite his minimal involvement. Emma is such a sensitive, artistic soul. She loved to draw ballet and had been growing her gorgeous blonde hair since she was 4. That hair became her trademark, her confidence, something she would toss over her shoulder when she was proud or twirl when she was thinking. It fell down her back like sunlight, and she beamed when someone complimented it. My relationship with my younger sister, Brianna, had been complicated since childhood. 3 years younger than me, at 32, Brianna had always lived in a strange state of simultaneous admiration and envy of me. Growing up, she borrowed my clothes without permission, copied my hairstyles, and dated boys I had previously been interested in. But there was always a dark side to her desire for attention. What she called jokes, most people would call cruelty. When I was 16, she cut holes in my prom dress the night before the dance. At 20, she told my college boyfriend a lie about me cheating on him, which led to our breakup. Even at my wedding, she managed to spill red wine on my dress during the photo shoot, claiming it was an accident, barely hiding her smile. Each time, our mother, Dorothy, downplayed her behavior. "You're overreacting," Mom would say. "Brianna is just playing around. You know she loves you." My father, Robert, usually remains silent during these confrontations, not wanting to get between his wife and daughters. This dynamic has not changed in 30 years. Since Emma was born, I had become increasingly reluctant to take her to family gatherings. But I always gave in, believing that family ties were important for her. After all, I wanted Emma to know her grandfathers, her aunt, and her cousins, Ethan and Sophia, who were 10 and 7 years old. The day before this particular gathering, I spent an hour carefully braiding Emma's hair into an elaborate style she had seen in a magazine. She sat patiently in her little purple chair, chatting about how excited she was to show her cousins her new braids and the friendship bracelets she had made for them. "Do you think Aunt Brianna will like my hair, too?" she asked innocently. I hesitated, remembering how last year on Thanksgiving, Brianna accidentally spilled cranberry sauce on Emma's favorite white holiday dress, or how she gave Ethan and Sophia expensive game consoles for Christmas, but gave Emma a coloring book, watching my reaction with barely concealed satisfaction. "I'm sure everyone will think you look beautiful," I told Emma, avoiding a direct answer. "Just remember what we talked about. If anyone says or does anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, come to me right away. Okay?" "Okay, Mom." She nodded seriously. "But I'm sure it will be fun." Ethan promised to show me his new treehouse. Looking at her excited face in the mirror, her eyes bright with anticipation, I suppressed my fears. Of course, Brianna wouldn't deliberately attack an 8-year-old child, and this year, I promised myself I wouldn't let any snide comments or subtle jibes ruin our day. How terribly wrong I was. The drive to my mother's country house took 45 minutes, with Emma singing her favorite songs the whole way. Dorothy and Robert lived in the same house where Brianna and I grew up. It was a spacious colonial house with the same swings in the backyard, although they had aged over 25 years of use. When we arrived, the driveway was already filled with cars. Mom always invited the extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins, making these gatherings feel like reunions. Colored balloons decorated the mailbox, and a family gathering banner hung above the front door. Mom loved her decorations. "Grandpa!" Emma shouted when she spotted my father, Robert, tending the grill on the back patio as we walked up the driveway. He turned his weathered face toward us, smiling a genuine smile. Despite all his shortcomings in navigating family conflicts, Robert adored his granddaughter. "Here's my butterfly," he called out, setting down his grill tongs to hug Emma. "Look at your beautiful hair." "Did your mom do that for you?" "Yes. It took a whole hour," Emma announced proudly, twirling around to show off her braids. "It was worth it." "You look like a princess," he said before giving me a big hug from the side. "Good to see you, Rebecca." "Your mom is inside finishing the appetizers." My Aunt Gloria came out of the kitchen door with a tray of lemonade. At 60, Gloria was my mother's sister and often the voice of reason at family gatherings. She gave me a knowing look that said she understood my anxiety about these events. "Rebecca, you look wonderful," she said, setting the tray down to hug me. "And Emma, those braids are gorgeous. You have to teach me how to do that, Rebecca." "Aunt Gloria, I made something for you," Emma said, searching her small backpack for a colorful beaded bracelet. "Oh my goodness, it's beautiful." "I'm going to wear it right now," Gloria said, slipping it onto her wrist with genuine gratitude. The backyard was filled with familiar faces. My cousins, whom I only saw at these gatherings, were chatting in groups around the yard. Children of all ages were playing tag around the old oak tree. Emma quickly spotted her cousins, Ethan and Sophia, playing with water guns near the flower beds. "Can I go play with them, Mom?" she asked, jumping up and down on her toes. "Of course, dear." "Just be careful with your nice clothes," I called as she ran off. Gloria took my arm. "Come on, let's get you something to drink." "You look like you need it." Inside, my mother was arranging cheese and crackers on her best serving platter. At 65, Dorothy still dyed her hair the same shade of blonde she had worn for 30 years. She looked up when we walked in, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. "Rebecca, there you are. I was starting to think you weren't coming." There was the slightest hint of a tone in her voice, though most people wouldn't have noticed it. "We said noon, Mom." "It's 12:15 now," I replied, leaning down to kiss her on the cheek. "Well, I'm glad you made it." Brianna wrote that they'd be a little late. Blake had some work call he couldn't miss. She adjusted her floral apron. "Is Emma with you?" "She's outside with Ethan and Sophia." "These kids grow up so fast," she sighed. "Ethan's already in advanced math, didn't Brianna tell you?" And Sophia just won the regional gymnastics competition. I nodded, accustomed to hearing about my niece's accomplishments. Dorothy never failed to mention them, just as she never asked about Emma's achievements in ballet or her excellent grades in reading. The next hour passed quite pleasantly. I talked to relatives I rarely saw, enjoying the normality of family gossip and news. Around 1:30, the front door opened, and Brianna's voice echoed through the house. "Hello, everyone. Now the party can begin." My sister entered, as always, as if she should be followed by a spotlight. Brianna had the same blonde hair as me, although hers was highlighted and styled with an expensive haircut. She wore designer jeans and a blouse that probably cost more than my entire outfit. Her husband Blake followed behind carrying a box of cake and looking a little upset. "Rebecca." Brianna nodded coldly when she noticed me, kissing me lightly on the cheek. "Gorgeous dress." "New?" The question was innocent, but I knew the implication. From a discount store? "Good to see you, Brianna," I replied, ignoring the question. "Hi, Blake." Blake, the quiet accountant who seemed perpetually surprised to find himself married to someone as dominant as Brianna, gave me an awkward smile. "Rebecca, good to see you. Where can I put this cake?" "Oh, give it here," my mother interjected, taking the box from him reverently. "Brianna bought it at that French bakery downtown. It cost a fortune, but she insisted. Isn't that thoughtful?" I forced a smile as my mother led Brianna away, already deep in conversation about Brianna's recent landscaping project. Blake walked away to get a beer, leaving me with Aunt Gloria. Same old, Gloria muttered under her breath, making me smile genuinely for the first time since arriving. The kids ran out the back door, Emma in front. Her face was flushed with excitement. "Mom, Ethan says they have a new game to play upstairs. Can I go?" Before I could answer, Brianna appeared behind her, her arms draped imperiously over Ethan's shoulders. "Oh yes. Ethan has been wanting to show everyone his new video game system for a long time. All the kids are going upstairs to play." Her eyes fell on Emma's hair, and something flashed across her face. "God, those braids are complicated. Someone's trying very hard to be the center of attention." "Emma helped design them," I said flatly. "She's been looking forward to showing everyone." "I'm sure she has," Brianna replied with a strained smile. "Well, go upstairs, kids. Sophia can show you the way, Emma." "Can I, Mom?" Emma asked again. Part of me wanted to say no, to keep her close, but with the other relatives watching, I didn't want to seem paranoid or overly protective, and I really wanted Emma to make friends with her cousins. "Of course, dear, have fun." I watched her jump around with the other children, Brianna's gaze following her with an expression I couldn't quite read. Over the next half hour, I relaxed a little, joining in conversations about politics, recent movies, and family news. Robert was telling a story about his fishing trip when I noticed Brianna moving away from the group and heading for the stairs. A small knot of anxiety formed in my stomach, but I told myself she was probably just checking on the children. I should have listened to my instincts. As the day progressed, I realized something was wrong. The house was unusually quiet for 8 children upstairs. Usually you could hear footsteps, laughter, or occasional arguments, but there was almost nothing except the muffled sound of a video game. I was helping Aunt Gloria set the dessert plates when she mentioned something that made my stomach clench. "Didn't Brianna show you what she bought yesterday?" "Electric hair clippers. She said she was going to cut Blake's hair at home to save money." Gloria shook her head. "Strange, considering she spent $200 on that cake." I never knew Brianna was thrifty. My hands froze on the plates. Hair clippers, brand new. I saw them in her purse when she was looking for her phone. Gloria gave me a curious look. "Are you okay, Rebecca?" "You've gone pale." "I'm fine," I said automatically, even though my mind was racing. I just realized Emma has been upstairs for a while. I should check on her. Gloria nodded. "Good idea." There's something strange about Brianna today. She's more tense than usual. As I moved toward the stairs, my cousin Lisa stopped me. "Have you heard about Brianna's work situation?" she asked in a low voice. "What situation?" Lisa looked surprised. "Oh, I thought you knew. She was fired from the marketing firm last month. Something about misusing company funds. Your mom told everyone not to mention it." This was news to me. Brianna had bragged about getting promoted at her prestigious marketing job just a few weeks ago on social media. If she had been fired, especially for something like embezzlement, it would explain her tense behavior and Blake's discomfort. My phone buzzed with several text messages from friends, but I ignored them, suddenly anxious to find Emma. Passing through the living room, I heard my mother talking in hushed tones with Uncle Charlie. "Brianna is just going through a difficult period. That company didn't appreciate her talents anyway. She already has several interviews lined up with better firms." Uncle Charlie looked skeptical. "Dorothy, embezzlement charges aren't just a rough patch. Has she talked to a lawyer?" "It's all a misunderstanding," my mother insisted, then noticed me standing nearby. "Rebecca, do you need something?" "I'm just going to check on Emma," I said, pretending I hadn't heard anything. "The kids are fine." "They're playing games," she waved me off. "We're about to serve dinner. Can you help bring out the side dishes?" In a minute, I haven't seen Emma in over an hour. I continued toward the stairs, noticing Blake standing alone by the window, sipping a beer. He avoided my gaze as I passed, which only heightened my anxiety. Upstairs, the hallway was strangely quiet, except for the sound of a video game coming from Ethan's room. I peeked in and saw several children gathered around the TV, but Emma was nowhere to be found. "Have you seen Emma?" I asked. My 10-year-old nephew barely looked up from his controller. I don't know, maybe with Sophia. Something about his evasive answer made me uneasy. I checked the guest bedroom, where the girls sometimes played with their dolls. Empty. My old bedroom, now a home office. Nothing. I was about to check my parents' room when I heard it. Faint sobbing from behind the closed bathroom door. "Emma?" I called, knocking softly. "Are you in there, sweetie?" The sobbing suddenly stopped, followed by sniffles. "Go away," Emma's small, broken voice said. "Honey, it's Mom." "Let me in, please." "No." Her voice was panicked. "I don't want you to see." My heart began to beat faster. "Emma, open the door now or I'll ask Grandpa to bring the key." "What's the problem?" Brianna's voice sounded behind me, making me jump. She was leaning against the wall with her phone in her hand, looking strangely pleased with herself. "Emma's upset about something," I said sharply. "What happened?" "Oh, kids and their drama." Brianna waved her hand dismissively. "She's fine." At that moment, Sophia came out of Ethan's room, looking guilty. "Aunt Rebecca," she began, but Brianna cut her off. "Sophia, go downstairs and tell Grandma we'll be down soon," Brianna ordered sharply. Something was very wrong. I turned back to the door. "Emma, I'm coming in now." My voice left no room for argument. A moment later, I heard the lock click. I pushed the door open and froze in absolute horror. My beautiful daughter stood trembling in the middle of the bathroom, her head completely shaved. Patchy stubble remained where the clippers had missed. Pieces of her long blonde hair lay scattered across the tiles like fallen battle flags. Her red, swollen eyes met mine with such shame and devastation that I felt physically sick. "Mom," she whispered, then burst into tears again. I rushed to her, dropping to my knees to embrace her trembling body. "Oh my God, Emma, what happened? Who did this to you?" Behind me, Brianna laughed. "Don't be so dramatic, Rebecca. It's just hair. It'll grow back." I slowly turned around, still holding Emma, to see my sister holding her phone. She was filming us. "You did this." My voice didn't sound like my own. "She needed to learn not to be so stuck up," Brianna said matter-of-factly. "Everyone always admires her precious hair. Ethan and Sophia held her while I did a little makeup on her. Look, I caught it all on video." She turned her phone screen toward me, showing Emma struggling as Ethan and Sophia held her arms down. Emma cried, begging them to stop as Brianna ran electric clippers over her head, laughing. "Say goodbye to your princess hair." By this time, the other adults had gathered in the hallway, drawn by the commotion. My father pushed his way to the front, stopping at the bathroom door. "Oh my God," he exhaled, surveying the scene. "What have you done, Brianna?" "It's just a joke, Dad." Brianna rolled her eyes. Everyone's so sensitive these days. Some of my relatives looked shocked. Others, to my disgust, tried to hide their smiles, as if it were just a silly prank and not an attack on a child. My mother appeared, looking annoyed by the disturbance. "What's going on here?" "Dinner is getting cold." "Look what your daughter did to Emma," I said, my voice trembling as I turned my crying daughter toward her. For a moment, my mother looked genuinely shocked. Then her expression hardened. "Well, it's not stylish, of course, but it will grow back, Emma. It's not appropriate." "Not appropriate?" I repeated incredulously. "Mom, they pinned her down and cut her hair against her will. She's traumatized." "I already posted the video in the family chat," Brianna announced proudly. "It's hilarious. She screamed like we were killing her." Emma buried her face in me, trying to hide under the towel I had wrapped around her shoulders. "You filmed that?" my father asked incredulously. "Of course." The look on her face was priceless. Brianna smiled smugly, then addressed Emma directly. "Maybe now people will notice something about you other than your hair." That's when I saw it clearly for the first time. Pure envy in my sister's eyes as she looked at my daughter. the same look she had given me throughout our childhood whenever I received attention or praise. But this time, she was targeting an innocent child. My child. Did Ethan and Sophia help her hold it? I asked, my voice dangerously quiet. They were just playing, Brianna shrugged. Right, kids? Ethan and Sophia looked uncertain from the doorway, finally sensing they had crossed a line. Sophia had tears in her eyes. Emma screamed for them to stop, Sophia whispered. I told Mom we should maybe stop, but she said Emma needed to toughen up. The bathroom suddenly felt too small, too hot. Emma continued to sob into me, and I could feel her hot tears soaking my dress. 5 years of building her confidence, her sense of self, destroyed in minutes by the people who were supposed to love her. Something dark and fierce opened up inside me. This wasn't just about hair. It was about power, cruelty, and years of indulgence that allowed Brianna to believe she could hurt a child and not face the consequences. I slowly got up, holding Emma close to me. The crowd in the hallway parted as I carried my daughter to the stairs, my mind already made up about what would happen next. Where are you going? Brianna shouted after me, still holding the phone. Don't be such a jerk. We're going to have dinner. I ignored her, focusing solely on getting Emma to safety. My daughter clung to me, still hiding her face against my shoulder. I could feel her little body shaking. Rebecca, you're overreacting, my mother said, following us down the stairs. Brianna didn't mean any harm. It was just a silly prank. I stopped at the bottom of the stairs and turned back to her, careful to keep my voice steady despite the rage building inside me. A prank is a whoopee cushion or a fake spider, Mom. This was an assault. They physically restrained my daughter and cut her hair while she begged them to stop. The family gathering stopped, everyone watching our confrontation. Aunt Gloria appeared beside me, gasping when she saw Emma's shaved head. Oh my God, she whispered, gently placing her hand on Emma's back. You poor, sweet child. Brianna slowly descended the stairs, still filming with her phone. The video already has 20 likes in the family chat. Everyone thinks it's funny. Something broke inside me. I handed Emma to Gloria and approached my sister. Give me the phone, Brianna. Now. No way. She laughed, holding it above her head. This is gold. It might go viral. The spoiled princess will get a reality check. I lunged for the phone, but Brianna jumped back, laughing even louder. What's wrong, Rebecca? Can't take a joke? Your precious little princess will survive. Unlike some of us who had to grow up in your shadow, never being good enough. This has nothing to do with our childhood issues, I hissed. This is about you attacking my daughter. Attacking? Brianna shrugged. Don't be melodramatic. It's a haircut. One she didn't want and didn't consent to. You held her down while she screamed and begged you to stop. Brianna's eyes narrowed. Maybe you should teach her to be less attached to her appearance. The way everyone fawns over her hair is ridiculous. She needs to learn that the world doesn't revolve around her. My mother stepped between us. Enough, both of you. You're ruining the gathering. Rebecca, take Emma to the powder room and help her get ready. Brianna, put your phone away. We're going to sit down and have a nice family dinner like civilized people. I stared at my mother in disbelief. You think we're staying for dinner after this? Don't be ridiculous, Mom said sharply. Of course you're staying. I've been cooking all day. Behind her, Brianna was showing the video to some of our cousins who were trying to hide their smiles. Seeing them laugh at my daughter's trauma was the last straw. Take her outside, I said to Aunt Gloria, nodding toward Emma. I'll get our things. While Gloria escorted my still-crying daughter to the front door, I turned back to Brianna. She was still bragging, showing the video to Uncle Charlie, who shook his head in disapproval. Look how she's screaming here. Total drama queen, Brianna said. I crossed the room in 3 quick steps and did something I had never done in my 35 years. I slapped my sister across the face, knocking the phone out of her hand. The room fell deathly silent. Brianna's hand flew to her cheek, her eyes wide with shock. For a brief, satisfying moment, she looked genuinely scared. "You're a crazy bitch," she hissed. "If you ever come near my daughter again," I said, my voice low and even, "if you ever post or share that video, I will file a report for assault on a minor. I'll get a restraining order, and I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of person you are." I picked up her phone from where it had fallen and deleted the video before throwing it back at her. "You can't delete it," she said smugly, quickly recovering. "I already saved it to the cloud." "Then enjoy explaining to the police how you uploaded evidence that you assaulted a child," I replied coldly. My mother rushed to Brianna, examining her cheek as if she were seriously injured. "How dare you hit your sister in my house after everything we've done for you and that child? What exactly have you done for Emma, Mom?" Other than ignoring her, belittling her, and now defending the person who attacked her. "Don't be so self-righteous," Mom exploded. "That's why no one wanted you to bring that bastard into this family in the first place. She's been nothing but a source of drama since the day you announced your pregnancy." The room fell silent again, this time with the uncomfortable tension of a long-hidden family secret accidentally revealed. My father stepped forward, his face ashen. "Dorothy, that's enough," he said quietly. But the damage was already done. I felt as if I had been punched in the stomach. "What did you just say about my daughter?" My mother's eyes widened as she realized her mistake, but her pride prevented her from backing down. "Did you hear me? We all know Jason had doubts about her paternity. Why do you think he's hardly involved? But we accepted her anyway, despite the shame to this family." I was speechless. Jason and I were married when Emma was conceived. There were never any questions about her paternity, at least not on his part. It was a lie my mother had obviously nurtured for years, using it to justify her emotional detachment from her granddaughter. "Mom, that's not true," Brianna said, looking uncomfortable for the first time. Even she seemed shocked by this revelation. "Jason never said that." "Of course he meant it," Mom insisted. "Why else would he have left them?" "He didn't leave us," I said, finally finding my voice. "We separated because we grew apart. He sees Emma every other weekend. You know that." "Not for the last 6 months," Mom countered. "Convenient that you don't mention that." It was true that Jason had moved to Portland for work 6 months ago, making his regular visits impossible. We'd been managing with video calls and plans for summer visits. But my mother had twisted this normal challenge of co-parenting into something nasty and untrue. "I don't know what lies you've been telling yourself," I said coldly. "But Emma is Jason's daughter. And even if she weren't, she's my daughter. She's your granddaughter, and you just proved that you don't deserve to be in her life." I turned to leave, but Brianna blocked my path. The smug look returned to her face. "So righteous," she sneered. "Saint Rebecca, always the victim. But we all know the truth now, don't we? No wonder you're so protective of her. Your conscience is bothering you." I looked at my sister, really looked at her, and felt nothing but pity. "You are so consumed by envy and bitterness that you attacked an 8-year-old child. What does that say about you, Brianna?" "It says that I'm not afraid to take what I want," she shot back. "Unlike you, who hides behind your daughter because your own life is empty and pathetic." My father finally stepped between us. "Enough, Brianna. Rebecca, take Emma home. We'll talk when things calm down." Aunt Gloria appeared in the doorway. "Emma's in your car," she said quietly to me. "I'll get her backpack." As I gathered our things, I could hear my mother and Brianna arguing in whispers. Blake stood awkwardly nearby, looking as if he wanted to disappear. "I'm sorry," he said quietly as I walked past him. "I didn't know she was going to do that." I would have stopped it. I paused, studying his face. He seemed genuinely remorseful. "But you knew she bought the cars. You knew something was planned." He looked away, confirming my suspicion. "I thought it was for me. She said she was going to cut my hair to save money because..." He trailed off. Because she lost her job, I finished for him. He nodded pitifully. Things are bad, Rebecca. She's not coping well. That doesn't excuse what she did to Emma. I know, he agreed. It was wrong. I'll talk to her. I doubted his talk would change anything, but I didn't have the energy for his marital problems. Goodbye, Blake. As I walked to the door, my mother made one last attempt to salvage her illusion of the perfect family gathering. If you leave now, Rebecca, don't bother coming back, she called after me. Family loyalty still means something to some of us. I turned back one last time, surveying the room full of relatives who stood by, and watched a child being traumatized without intervening. Some looked ashamed, others uncomfortable, some defiant. My father looked torn, as always, between the demands of his wife and his own conscience. Family loyalty, I repeated. Is that what you call what happened today? Because from where I stand, loyalty means protecting those who cannot protect themselves. It means standing up to cruelty, not condoning it. If that's your definition of family, then we're better off without it. With those words hanging in the air, I walked out the front door, closing it firmly behind me. In the car, Emma sat curled up in the passenger seat, a blanket from the trunk wrapped around her shoulders, hiding her head. Her eyes were swollen from crying, her face blotchy and exhausted. "I'm sorry, Mom," she whispered as I sat down. I tried to stop them, but they were too strong. My heart broke again. "Oh, baby. It's not your fault. Not at all. You have nothing to apologize for." As I drove away from the driveway, I saw my mother and Brianna watching from the window. For the first time in my life, I felt nothing but cold determination as I drove away from my childhood home. The time for indulging toxic family members was over. Now my sole focus was on healing my daughter and ensuring that those responsible faced consequences. The drive home was quiet except for Emma's occasional sniffles. She kept her blanket wrapped tightly around her head, refusing to look out the window when we stopped at traffic lights. "What if someone sees me?" she whispered when I suggested she might be more comfortable without it. "There's nothing wrong with the way you look," I told her, though my heart ached knowing how she must be feeling. "But you can leave it off if it makes you feel better right now." By the time we pulled up to our building, the sun was setting. Our modest two-bedroom house with its small front garden and wind chimes hanging from the porch had never looked more like a sanctuary. "Home," I said. "Safety." "I never want to go back there," Emma said as I opened the front door. "You won't have to," I promised. "Never again if you don't want to." Once inside, Emma went straight to the bathroom. I followed, nervous about what she might do or feel when she saw her reflection again. She stood in front of the mirror, slowly lowering the blanket to reveal her nearly bald head, running her fingers through the uneven stubble where her beautiful hair had been. "I look like an alien," she whispered, fresh tears filling her eyes. I knelt down beside her. "You look like my strong, beautiful girl who went through something terrible today, and I'm so sorry I wasn't there to protect you." "Why did Aunt Brianna do that?" she asked, her voice small and confused. "Why does she hate me? How do you explain adult jealousy and cruelty to an 8-year-old? How do you understand something so senseless?" "Your aunt has a lot of problems inside her," I said carefully. "It has nothing to do with you. Some people hurt others when they feel bad about themselves." "And Grandma called me a bad word," Emma continued. "Bastard. What does that mean?" The anger I had been suppressing for Emma's sake threatened to overwhelm me again. "It's an old-fashioned bad word that isn't true. Grandma was wrong to say it, and she's been wrong about everything today." Emma turned to face me, her expression suddenly older than her years. "Are we still family with them? Do I still have to call them Grandma and Grandpa and Aunt Brianna?" "No," I said firmly. "Family isn't just about blood ties. A real family treats you with love and respect. They don't hurt you on purpose." I ran a bath for Emma, adding her favorite lavender bubbles. While she was soaking, I made 3 important phone calls. The first was to my friend Lindsay, a family lawyer. "They did what?" she exclaimed when I explained what had happened. "Rebecca, that's assault on a minor. You need to file a police report immediately." "I will," I promised. "But first, I need to make sure Emma is okay." My second call was to Dr. Collins, a child psychologist Emma had briefly seen after the divorce. She agreed to see us first thing Monday morning. "Document everything," she advised. "Take pictures of her head. Write down exactly what happened while it's still fresh in your mind. This kind of betrayal by family members can be deeply traumatic." My third call was to Jason. Despite what my mother implied, Jason never doubted his paternity of Emma. Our divorce was due to distance, not infidelity. He now lived in Portland but remained involved in Emma's life through weekly video calls and scheduled visits. When I told him what had happened, he was furious. "I'm booking a flight right now," he said. "I'll be there tomorrow." Those people will never come near our daughter again. By the time I finished my calls, Emma had gotten out of the bath and put on her favorite pajamas. I found her sitting on her bed, looking lost. "Can I sleep with you tonight?" she asked. "Of course, sweetie." As we curled up in my bed, my phone started buzzing with messages. My mother, my father, even Brianna. I turned it off without reading them. Tomorrow would be early enough to deal with the fallout. Tonight was for comforting my daughter. "What about school?" Emma whispered in the dark. "Everyone will laugh at me." "We'll figure it out," I promised. "Maybe you'll want to wear a pretty scarf or hat for a while, or maybe you'll decide to wear your new look and show everyone how brave you are. But whatever you choose, I'll be right there with you." "I'm not brave," she said, her voice breaking. "I cried and screamed when they held me down." "That doesn't mean you're not brave," I told her, stroking her back. "Being brave means keeping going even when you're scared or in pain. And you are the bravest person I know." She finally fell asleep, exhausted from the emotional trauma of the day. I lay awake beside her, my mind racing with plans and decisions. By morning, I had a clear plan of action. No more allowing toxic behavior for the sake of family peace. No more giving in to people who couldn't respect basic boundaries. When the doorbell rang at 7:30 the next morning, I wasn't surprised. I carefully extricated myself from Emma's sleeping form and went to answer it, already knowing who I would find. My parents stood on the porch, looking tired and anxious. My father held a large gift bag with paper sticking out of the top. "What do you want?" I asked, not inviting them in. "We need to talk," my mother said, her tone less commanding than usual. "Things got out of hand yesterday." "Got out of hand?" I repeated incredulously. "Is that what you call it when your daughter attacks your granddaughter?" "Please, Rebecca," my father interjected. "Just hear us out." We brought something for Emma. He held out a gift bag. I took it and peered inside. An expensive wig, blonde and synthetic, lay wrapped in paper. "You think this makes up for anything?" I asked, struggling to keep my voice down so as not to wake Emma. "It's a start," Mom said. "We feel terrible about what happened." "Really?" I challenged. "Because yesterday you defended Brianna and insulted my daughter." My mother looked ashamed. "I was upset. I said things I didn't mean, like calling my daughter a slut and questioning her paternity. Those seemed like things you'd been thinking for a long time." "Mom, I was wrong," she admitted, the words clearly difficult for her to say. "I'm sorry." Under normal circumstances, this unprecedented apology from my proud mother might have moved me. But these were not normal circumstances. "Where is Brianna this morning?" I asked. "Is she sorry too?" My parents exchanged glances. "Brianna is dealing with the consequences of her actions," my father said cautiously. "What does that mean?" My mother sighed heavily. "Someone at the meeting yesterday posted the video on social media. One of Brianna's former colleagues saw it. It's spreading quickly, and the comments are not kind. The interviews she had scheduled have been canceled." My father added, "No company wants to hire someone who is caught on video attacking a child." Part of me felt vindicated when I heard this, but another part was concerned that the video had become public. "I don't want Emma to be exposed like this," I said firmly. I want that video taken down. We're trying, my mother assured me. But it's already been shared hundreds of times. Brianna is devastated. Brianna is devastated, I repeated, my voice rising despite my efforts. What about Emma? What about the child who was pinned down and humiliated by people she trusted? We know, my father said quietly. We know she's the real victim. That's why we came. Brianna needs help, Rebecca, professional help, but she also needs a family. There it was, the real reason for their early morning visit, not concern for Emma first and foremost, but damage control for Brianna. What exactly are you asking me to do? I asked, already knowing the answer. Make a statement, my mother said. Say it was a family misunderstanding that got out of hand. Say you don't want it to affect Brianna's career. I stared at them for a moment, speechless. You want me to publicly forgive Brianna to help her avoid the consequences of what she did to Emma? She's your sister, my mother pleaded. Despite everything, she's family. She pinned my child down and shaved her head, filming her horror for entertainment, I said slowly, making sure every word was clear. And you want me to help her? Please, Rebecca, my father said. Brianna made a terrible mistake, but this social media attack could ruin her life. I looked at my parents properly, at my mother's manipulative desperation, at my father's conflict between doing the right thing and keeping the peace. I had spent my whole life trying to please these people, excusing Brianna's pranks, accepting my mother's favoritism, and enduring countless petty cruelties for the sake of family harmony. But looking at them standing on my porch, more concerned about Brianna's reputation than Emma's trauma, something fundamental shifted inside me. The last threads of duty snapped cleanly. I'm not going to help Brianna avoid the consequences, I said firmly. In fact, I'm filing a police report today and consulting with a lawyer about a restraining order. My mother's face hardened. You would send your own sister to jail over a haircut. I would hold an adult accountable for assaulting a child. The fact that she's my sister makes it worse, not better. Think about what this will do to the family, she insisted. I am thinking about the family, I replied. My family. Emma, the person who matters most to me in this world. We are your family, too, my father said quietly. I felt a wave of sadness then, not for myself, but for what could have been, for the supportive family I always wanted and never had. You made your choice yesterday, I told them. When you defended Brianna instead of defending Emma, you made your choice very clear. We're trying to fix it, my mother insisted. No, you're trying to fix things for Brianna. There's a difference. I handed the gift bag back to my father. Emma doesn't need a wig. She needs a family that will love and protect her. If you ever decide you want to be that kind of family, we can talk again. Until then, please leave us alone. I gently but firmly closed the door, leaning against it as I heard them talking in low, urgent voices on the porch before finally leaving. When I returned, Emma was standing in the hallway in her pajamas, her vulnerable shaved head visible. Was that Grandma and Grandpa? She asked. Yes, I admitted, not wanting to lie to her. They brought you a present, but I sent them away. I hope that's okay. She nodded seriously. I don't want their presents. I just don't want to be scared anymore. I crossed the room and took her in my arms. You won't have to, baby. Things will be different now. I promise. As I held her, I knew that promise wasn't just empty words. Something had truly broken yesterday, not just between Emma and her extended family, but inside me. The endless cycle of indulging toxicity for the sake of family peace was over. From now on, our well-being would come first, no matter what. The next week was a blur of activity as I took decisive action to protect Emma and hold Brianna accountable. Monday morning began with a visit to the police station, where I filed a formal complaint against my sister for assaulting a minor. The officers photographed Emma's shaved head and recorded her account of how she had been held against her will. Is Aunt Brianna going to jail? Emma asked as we left the station. I don't know, sweetie, I answered honestly. But what she did was wrong, and there have to be consequences so she doesn't hurt other children. Our next stop was Dr. Collins' office. The child psychologist greeted Emma warmly, admiring the colorful scarf I had helped her wrap around her head that morning. That's a beautiful scarf, Dr. Collins said. It really brings out your eyes. Emma managed a faint smile, the first I had seen since the incident. For the next hour, Dr. Collins talked with Emma alone while I waited anxiously in the reception area. When they finished, Dr. Collins invited me in for a brief discussion while Emma drew pictures in the waiting room. She's experiencing significant trauma, Dr. Collins told me bluntly. Being physically restrained by family members, having her bodily autonomy violated, being filmed during a vulnerable moment. These are all profound betrayals of trust. What can I do to help her? I asked, fighting back tears. You're already doing that, she assured me. You removed her from the situation. You are holding the perpetrators accountable, and you are getting her professional support. Now she needs time, consistency, and lots of reassurance that she is safe and loved. Dr. Collins recommended weekly sessions and suggested joining a support group for children dealing with family trauma. She also provided resources to help Emmy prepare for returning to school. Children can be cruel about outward differences, she warned, but they can also be surprisingly adaptable and supportive with the right guidance. That day, I met with the principal and school counselor at Emma's elementary school. They were horrified by what had happened and immediately offered their support. We can organize a class discussion about respecting differences before Emma returns, suggested the counselor. Without singling her out, we can prepare her classmates to be supportive, added the principal, and we have a strict policy against bullying. Any child who teases Emma will face immediate consequences. Their support was a welcome contrast to the betrayal we experienced from the family. By Wednesday, Emma felt ready to return to school, armed with a collection of colorful scarves and hats I had bought for her. To my surprise, her best friend Chloe arrived at our door that morning with freshly cut hair. My mom said I could do this to show Emma she's not alone, Chloe explained, beaming with pride. Do we look alike? Emma's eyes filled with tears, but this time they were tears of gratitude. She took off her scarf, revealing her growing stubble. We look alike, she confirmed, reaching for her friend's hand. While Emma was at school, I met with Lindsay, my lawyer friend, to discuss our legal options. Reporting it to the police is a good start, she said, but I also recommend filing for a temporary restraining order against your sister. Given what happened, any judge will grant it. What about my parents? I asked. They seem more concerned with protecting Brianna than supporting Emma. Lindsay considered this. Unless they've made specific threats, we don't have grounds for a restraining order against them. But you have every right to limit contact. You're Emma's mother. You decide who has access to her. By Thursday, news of the incident had spread further than I expected. My phone rang from a number I didn't recognize. Is this Rebecca Williams? A woman's voice asked when I answered. Yes. Who's calling? My name is Melissa Garcia. I'm a reporter with the Denver Tribune. We received information about an incident involving your daughter and sister that has gone viral on the internet. I would like to hear your side of the story. I froze. The last thing I wanted was media attention that would make this ordeal even more public. I have no comment, I said firmly, and I would appreciate it if you would respect my daughter's privacy. She's a minor who has been through enough. I understand, the reporter said, sounding genuinely sympathetic. But you should know that the video has over 50,000 views right now. People are calling your sister the haircut aunt from hell, if you want to control the narrative at all. After hanging up, I immediately checked social media. To my horror, the video had indeed gone viral, with hundreds of angry comments condemning Brianna. While the public support for Emma was touching, the thought of thousands of strangers watching her moment of trauma made me sick. I called Lindsay again. Can we take the video down? "We can try," she said. "I'll send cease and desist letters to the platforms, but once something is on the internet—" "I know," I sighed. "It never really goes away." That evening, I received an unexpected call from Blake, Brianna's husband. "I wanted you to know that I've moved out," he said without preamble. "What Brianna did is unforgivable. I can't be married to someone who would hurt a child like that." I was stunned. "I'm sorry, Blake. I know this must be difficult." "Don't be sorry," he said firmly. "I should have intervened sooner." I knew for a long time that Brianna's behavior wasn't normal, but I kept making excuses. Seeing that video go viral was a wake-up call. I enabled her just like your parents did. Before hanging up, he added, "I gave a statement to the police supporting Emma's story. I want to do the right thing." Friday brought another unexpected visitor. Aunt Gloria stood on my porch with a large basket of Emma's favorite cookies and art supplies. "I should have done more that day," she said when I invited her in. "I should have stopped Brianna somehow." "You were the only one who helped us leave," I reminded her. "That meant a lot." Gloria shook her head sadly. "It wasn't enough. I indulged your mother and Brianna for too long, keeping the peace instead of telling the truth." She took my hand. "But that ends now. I want you and Emma to know that you have a family that stands with you, that knows right from wrong." Her support brought tears to my eyes. "Thank you. It means more than you know." The weekend brought more developments. Jason arrived from Portland, staying at a nearby hotel but spending most of his time with us. Emma's father's presence provided another layer of security and normalcy, which helped her begin to heal. Together, Jason and I took Emma to a salon that specializes in children's haircuts. The stylist, a kind woman named Tara, examined Emma's uneven stubble. "We can even it out into a cute pixie style," she suggested, "and I have a wonderful healing oil for your scalp." Emma hesitated. "Will I still look like a girl?" "The most beautiful, stylish girl," Tara assured her. "Many girls choose short hair because it looks so chic." She showed Emma photos of female celebrities with short haircuts, helping her see that femininity was not tied to hair length. When the styling was complete, Emma looked at her reflection with cautious approval. "It's actually cool," she decided, turning her head to see all the angles. "And it feels nice when you touch it." "It highlights your beautiful eyes," Jason told her, "and it'll be perfect for summer swimming." On Sunday evening, as Jason was preparing to return to Portland with promises to call every day and plans for Emma to visit during summer vacation, my phone rang again. It was my father. "Rebecca," he said, his voice sounding older and more tired than I had ever heard it. "I need to talk to you, not about Brianna, but about me, about how I failed you and Emma." The vulnerability in his voice surprised me. "Dad." I spent my life avoiding conflict, telling myself I was keeping the peace when in reality I was just being a coward. He continued, "I let your mother favor Brianna. I let Brianna bully you. And now I've let them both hurt Emma." I sat back, unprepared for this level of self-awareness from my conflict-averse father. "Your mother and I are going to counseling," he continued, "separately and together. I don't expect you to forgive me right away or maybe ever, but I want you to know that I'm finally facing the truth about our family dynamics. And I'm so sorry, Rebecca, for everything." By the time Monday morning rolled around again, exactly 1 week after the incident, the world felt fundamentally different. As I helped Emmy get ready for school, adjusting her favorite beret over her new pixie cut, I realized that we were both standing taller. The road ahead would not be easy. There would be court dates, therapy sessions, difficult conversations, and undoubtedly more family drama. But for the first time, I felt completely confident about where my boundaries lay and how far I would go to protect my daughter. Generational family patterns had been broken, painfully but permanently. And from that break, something healthier was already beginning to grow. 3 months passed, bringing summer warmth and new beginnings. Emma's hair had grown into a stylish shortcut, which she decided to keep, although it was now long enough for her previous style if she wanted it. "I like feeling the breeze on my neck," she told me one day as we sat on the back porch swing, "and I don't have to spend forever combing it." Physical healing came quickly. Emotional healing took longer, with weekly therapy sessions for Emma and me. Dr. Collins helped Emma work through her feelings of betrayal and vulnerability, while my own therapist, Dr. Monroe, helped me work through the complex grief of setting boundaries with toxic family members. "Grief?" I asked during an early session, but no one died. "You're grieving the family you wished you had," Dr. Monroe explained. "A supportive mother, a loving sister, a protective father. It's okay to mourn those relationships, even as you build healthier ones." The legal consequences for Brianna were significant, though less severe than they could have been. The district attorney charged her with assaulting a minor, but allowed her to plead guilty to a lesser charge that included community service, mandatory counseling, and a restraining order prohibiting her from contacting Emma. The social media fallout ultimately worked in our favor. After the video initially went viral, public outrage led most platforms to remove it as content depicting child abuse. Brianna lost her new job opportunity and, according to my father, struggled to find work with her damaged digital reputation. "She's finally facing the real consequences," my father told me during one of our cautious recovery conversations. "Your mother is still struggling with it, but I'm holding strong." No more indulgence. My relationship with my father slowly healed. He came once a week to spend time with Emma, always respecting my boundaries and never pressuring me to reconcile with Brianna or my mother. He brought small, thoughtful gifts, flowers for me, art supplies for Emma, and listened more than he spoke. "I miss so much by being passive," he admitted one evening as he was getting ready to leave after dinner. "I don't want to miss any more." My mother was a different story. After her initial attempt to get me to help Brianna avoid consequences, she retreated into wounded pride and martyrdom. She sent periodic text messages about how painful it was to be cut off from the family, but never acknowledged her role in the situation or asked how Emma was healing. "A classic narcissistic response," Dr. Monroe remarked when I shared these messages. "When she can't control the narrative, she positions herself as the victim." The healthiest surprise was the strengthened relationships that emerged from the ruins of the old ones. Aunt Gloria became a regular presence in our lives, dropping by with baked goods and stories about my childhood that painted a more accurate picture of our family history than my mother's selective memories. "Your mother was always jealous of the attention you received as a child," she said one day over tea. "You were open and naturally charming. People were drawn to you. Dorothy wanted that easy charisma, but she never had it, so she focused all her energy on Brianna instead." "That doesn't excuse what they did to Emma," I said. "Nothing excuses it," Gloria agreed firmly. "I'm just helping you understand broken patterns so you don't repeat them." Jason also became more present in Emma's life, scheduling regular video calls and arranging his work trips to include visits. The trauma reminded him how precious and fleeting childhood is, and he was determined not to miss more of it than necessary. The deepest healing, however, was within Emma herself. The frightened, crying child who hid under the covers had transformed into a more confident, self-aware person than she had been even before the incident. 2 months after the family gathering, Emma asked to give a presentation to her class about bullying and resilience. Her teacher, Miss Rivers, enthusiastically supported the idea, helping Emma create a thoughtful, age-appropriate talk about standing up to bad behavior and the importance of bodily autonomy. "Even if someone is family," Emma told her classmates, "they don't have the right to touch you or hurt you. And if someone does hurt you, speaking up isn't complaining, it's protecting yourself." Watching her speak with such clarity and conviction, I cried. From such cruelty came this unexpected gift, Her early understanding of boundaries and self-worth, lessons that many adults still struggle to learn. Instead of attending the traditional summer family reunion at my parents' house, we created new traditions. Emma and I, sometimes accompanied by Jason or Aunt Gloria, or my newly sympathetic cousins Lisa and Michael, would go to the lake for the weekend, have movie nights in the backyard, and volunteer at the local animal shelter. "Family is those who treat you with love and respect," became our unofficial motto, repeated whenever Emma asked difficult questions about Brianna or her grandmother. On a warm August evening, as Emma's 9th birthday approached, we sat together on the front porch making invitations for her party. She carefully wrote out the names, her school friends, our neighbors, Aunt Gloria, her dad, and a few other supportive adults who had helped during the difficult months. "Mom," she asked, putting down her marker, "do you think people can really change?" I considered the question carefully. I think people can change if they really want to and are willing to do the hard work. Why do you ask? "I was thinking about Grandma and Aunt Brianna," she said. "Do you think they'll ever change?" The question pierced my heart. Despite everything, she still cared about the family members who had hurt her. "I don't know, dear," I answered honestly. "Your aunt is seeing a therapist now, which is a good first step. But real change means acknowledging the harm you've caused, apologizing, and behaving differently over time." "Like Grandpa is trying to do," she noted. "Like Grandpa." She nodded thoughtfully. "I'm not ready to see them again, but maybe someday if they really change." Her wisdom never ceased to amaze me. "That's very mature, Emma. And it's entirely your choice. You don't owe forgiveness to someone who doesn't deserve it." "Dr. Collins says forgiveness is for yourself, not for the other person," Emma said, returning to her invitations. "But you still need boundaries." I smiled, recognizing the therapist's gentle guidance. Dr. Collins is very wise. Later that night, after Emma had fallen asleep, I sat alone on the porch with a cup of tea, reflecting on how much had changed in 3 short months. The pain hadn't gone away. The betrayal still stung, and I still had moments of anger when I remembered Emma's crying. But those feelings no longer controlled me. Instead, they had turned into a determination to build a healthier life for both of us. My phone buzzed with a text from my father. "Dorothy has agreed to start individual therapy tomorrow." Real progress, thinking of you both. It was a small step, but perhaps a significant one. I didn't hold my breath for a miracle transformation, but I was cautiously hopeful that some kind of healing might finally be possible. The journey wasn't over. There would be more difficult days, more healing to be done, more boundaries to be set. But we were on a new path now, built on truth rather than pretense, on real love rather than obligation. And that made all the difference. As the summer stars appeared above our little house, I made a silent promise to myself and to Emmy. We would continue to choose truth over false harmony, authenticity over appearances, and love over loyalty to toxic patterns. We would remember that standing firm in our values is not selfish, it is necessary. And we would never again confuse cruelty with care, no matter how it was disguised. Family could be a source of deep pain, but it could also be rebuilt and redefined. We were living proof of that transformation, growing stronger every day. Have you ever had to set difficult boundaries with family members to protect yourself or your children? How did you find the courage to stand firm when others pressured you to keep the peace? Share your experience in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who may need to hear that it's okay to choose well-being over toxic family dynamics. Thank you for being part of our journey, and remember that healing is always possible, even after the deepest betrayals.